Top shelf buds for a low, low price. Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Grind and Burn, a podcast from the Cannabis Community Project, broadcasting weekly high up from the Dank Studios 3835 Denver, Colorado, here exploring the business side of this newly emerging economy while living the lifestyle. Hey Cannapreneurs, this week's show is sponsored by Dairy Berry's Recording Studio. Hey Cannapreneurs, thank you for joining me once again for another great show of the Grind and Burn. This week's episode is Grind and Burn with our crypto cannabis segment. We're going to be getting an update from Ryan at Vis.Red about the up-and-coming town of Morley, the new mining town down south of Trinidad that I've been telling you all about over the last couple weeks. Ryan's going to give us the updates, and we're also going to hear what it's like to be involved in the Aurora cryptocurrency Bitcoin Center. This is your final warning. This episode contains explicit language and heavy talk about drug use. Listen at your own risk. Because I recorded a conversation of what it's like to be in the heat of the action, in the mix of everything, when topics are being discussed. And last week's topic got heated as we talked about the water situation. Water is very important, and the land has a well, but the well is unverified of whether or not we can retap it, and whether or not it's drinkable, what kind of filtration. All the things that we're working on as we put the new mining town 2.0 of Morley, Colorado back on the map. And I mean officially on the map, as we are applying for municipality namestakes to some roads on the land that have been unnamed. So there might be some potential for sponsorship out there. Maybe some dispensaries might want to have a name in a town named after them. So much going on, and it's a lot of fun. You know, speaking of stuff that's going on and coming up this month of June, besides my birthday, of course, on June 11th, I would like you all to come with me to the mountains, hemping in the mountains, to Netherland, Colorado. Netherland, Colorado is about, 30-some miles west of Boulder, Colorado. So if you're anywhere in the Denver, Boulder, Greeley, Fort Collins, even Colorado Springs, or anywhere in the proximity of that, come on out on June 11th, all day long, hemping in the mountains in Netherland, Colorado. Look it up on Facebook, hemping in the mountains, or send me a little email and a message, and I'll send you the direct link. This is going to be really cool. We're going to have multiple hemp vendors, producers, manufacturers, growers, proprietors, all bringing out for demonstration in their display all their hemp products and everything hemp related. Since it is in celebration of Hemp Week, we will also be celebrating with hemp brewed beer and hemp infused whiskey, along with all the other goodies. Hey, I'm not just promoting this because I love to hang out in the mountain and listen to music and drink whiskey and all the other stuff that comes with celebrating hemp. I'm also the MC of the event, so I will be there, up on stage, bringing on the bands, putting out the announcements about who left their headlights on in the parking lot and all that kind of fun stuff that MCs do. So I'll be MCing that event, and I will thoroughly be enjoying the music, beer, and bud that comes along with these all-day events. So if you're anywhere in Colorado, come out and join us June 11th, hemping in the mountains. Very good. You know, I want to get into this week's show because we got a lot of updates about Morley and what's going on with the building of the town. But I have a couple minutes of a phone call I'd like you all to listen to. As I told you about a couple weeks ago, I had my business bank account suspended by Chase Bank. And from all things that we can discover through our investigation, it appears they just indiscriminately did it because they didn't like the name of my company, or an individual did did not agree with the politics of the matter. So I took the liberty to record my phone call to the Chase Compliance Department just so you can hear firsthand how corporate America stonewalls you when they want to, and how when you're the little guy, even if you do have a lawyer, like I do, David Bush, one of the greatest civil lawyers that I can vouch for, but even with that, without the resources to fight a giant corporation, basically they can stonewall you. So I'm going to do my best to make them spend some money before ultimately probably having to give up, and I'm also going to make sure to badmouth them as much as possible. So listen in to just a couple minutes of this phone call. You might get a kick out of it. It might frustrate you. You might learn something about dealing with corporate America. But before we get into that, let's quickly jump back to last week's episode. Remember what we learned as we were talking to Shelly from the MJ Journal. Hey, you got to check this out. I got a journal in the mail. She sent it to me. This is high quality stuff. This is the real deal. A full book printed with a journal. It's a workbook. It's a textbook. It's like a diary. It is truly built with the patient in mind. If you don't remember what that was all about, take a few minutes now, get the gist of last week's short-term memory flashback relapse, then go back and listen to the full show. And as always, share, like, comment, tell the world about it. This is your community. Grind and burn.
Hi, I'm Shelly Johnson Ochoa, and I am a co-creator of the Medical Marijuana Journal, and I am also co-creator of the roadtohealing.com, a website that's dedicated to patient education. Currently, it is a hard copy journal, and it can be purchased on our website, www.theroadtohealing.com, or it can be purchased on Amazon under My Medical Marijuana Journal, My MMJ Journal. A demographic of probably 40 years and older, because the younger people are so into the digital access on the phones. There's 3 that have cancer, a couple that have had knee replacement surgeries, and so I'm going to be talking to the 75-year-olds about medical marijuana and how it might be able to benefit them. So my mom's become my greatest fan. I don't feel sick anymore. I don't feel nauseous when I medicate. I actually feel good. I mean, marijuana does make you feel good. And, I'm happier now, and I don't get constipated because I'm not taking opioids, and I feel totally different using this plant. And I just can't say enough about it. And the more I learn about it, the more excited I get because, having my degree in biology, and I worked in genetics for a couple of years at the University of Colorado, the Health Science Center. I love all the different facets of what cannabis is doing and can do, and all the different components of it. And I think we've got an incredible future with this plant, and as far as medicine goes. My new email address is Shelly, SHELLY, theroadtohealing@gmail.com. And then the website is theroadtohealing.com. And if you go there today, there's a placard on there that says we're under construction. But there is some content on there if you want to see a picture of me and kind of my story and what was there before we started creating it. The website's being created offline, so they won't be able to see the new product until we launch it. If somebody really wants to get a hold of me, send me an email, and then we can talk one off, and I can give them my cell phone number. When the website's launched, it'll connect into the social media, because I do have a My Medical Marijuana Journal page that's linked to my personal Facebook. I'm in LinkedIn, I'm in Twitter, I'm in all of that, so when the website's ready, they can click into all of that and find me.
Very good. Well, I appreciate your time today. This has been very informative. I appreciate you spending the time to teach us about your business and also your own personal backstory. And we look forward to hearing from you again, hopefully in person next time here in the studio.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
It's 2016. How long have you been thinking about getting involved in the industry? Now is the time. If you have an idea, a business, or just some comments, talk about them with me on this show. The Cannabis Community Project. It's here for you. Reach out and get on. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com or from the website under the same name. Cushly, organic products that works like none other. It eliminates odor, and it's organic and it's non-toxic. www.cushly.com. Also find them on Facebook and other social media under the same name, Cushly, organic products.
The 6 degrees of Cushly. Yeah, it's amazing.
So what is the name of the account and who am I speaking with?
My name is and the name of the account was under the Cannabis Community Project, LLC.
Okay, thank you. And for the security of this account, can you please verify the address that you have on the account?
Denver, Colorado, 80237.
Okay, thank you. And how may I assist you with this account for today, sir?
I'm calling to get a hold of the compliance department to figure out why this account was closed all of a sudden, and there was no communication or correspondence about it. So I'm calling to speak to the person to give me some more details and information about the closure of this account.
Okay, yes, sir. As I can see here, you were already advised before that this account has been reviewed by the bank, and we have determined that we can no longer maintain them. So as a result, the bank has made a final decision to close the account.
Is the bank not going to send out anything in writing?
I do apologize, sir, but no additional information regarding account closure could be disclosed.
So the bank's closing my account and providing no communication or correspondence about it whatsoever?
Sir, we are exercising the right to terminate the relationship.
What was that based on?
On the review that was made on the account, sir.
Was it reviewed by a person?
It was, your account has been reviewed by the bank, sir.
Okay, but I'm trying to start a grievance process. Can you please direct me to the compliance department or where I initiate that process?
I'm sorry, sir, you're breaking up. What was that?
I am trying to find the department or individual that I can speak to initiate a grievance process.
Okay, sir, I was only able to hear you are trying to find the department and then nothing.
To start a grievance process over the closure of this account.
Okay, but we are not allowed to disclose any information, sir. If you like, I can escalate the phone call, but there isn't any guarantee.
Yes, I would like it escalated, please.
Okay, 1 moment. This will take about 3 to 5 minutes. 1 moment, sir.
Polychronopolis.
I'm a big f***ing I'm a pain in your...
Hello, Mr.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, so sorry about that, sir. Thank you very much for patiently waiting. I have Rianne on the line and would like to know more information with regards to account closure. Would you be able to further assist them?
All right. Thank you, Patricia. Hi, and I'm looking forward to helping you resolve your concern. I understand you would like to know the reason why we decided to close your account.
Well, I'm looking for some type of correspondence sent from the bank because the account was closed with no correspondence at all provided. So I'm looking for the bank to provide some type of written correspondence about it.
All right. We actually have mailed a letter, sir, regarding the closure. If you did not receive it, I can go ahead and send a request to send it to you again through the mail. I'm so sorry. I'm hearing a lot of noise in the background. All right. In order for me to send you, in order for me to send the letter, I'm sorry, sir. I'm actually distracted with the noise. In order for me to send the letter to a different address, I would need to properly identify you. I'll be asking you a series of security questions in a while, okay?
Okay.
All right. I will place you on hold first for 2 to 3 minutes while I pull up the questions here in my end. Stay on the line.
Polychronopolis.
Mr.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello? All right. Thank you for your patience in holding on the line. All right, then. What I do suggest, sir, if you're requesting for the letter, kindly and have it sent to a different address, kindly visit the local Chase branch instead.
So is there anybody there that can answer the question of why this account was closed indiscriminately?
I'm sorry, sir. Can you please turn off the speakerphone so I can hear you better?
Is there anybody there that can answer the question of why this account was closed indiscriminately? Can I have the mailing address or what department, if I want to send a legal letter to, who would I contact? Chase Manhattan Bank does not have a legal department?
Polychronopolis. You're listening to the Crypto Cannabis Podcast. Welcome to the Crypto Cannabis Podcast.
Prepare yourself for the Crypto Cannabis Podcast.
Get ready for the Crypto Cannabis Podcast.
Get ready for the Crypto Cannabis Podcast. Yeah, add some cowbell. Boom.
Prepare yourself for the Crypto Cannabis Podcast. And now, the Crypto Cannabis Podcast.
Now the Crypto Cannabis Podcast, man. We're just a simple podcast here to explain your investments. We got some Bitcoin in bag. It's all about cryptocurrency and cannabis too. We just want to get you high on knowledge.
It's simple. We help raise money for those in need. Through the Aurora Cryptocurrency Center, we use donations to buy Bitcoin miners and investing in digital currencies that make money. Bang!
You don't need an in-between. You should be able to hook those solar panels up to the controller and then with the load battery.
Or into the... It doesn't convert it over into 110 for the outlets and shit.
Pathetic misdirection, a bigger earth is trying to prove just 'cause you open your wallet for me to be more powers in the hole you want.
Well, we've got room for greenhouses on level ground. We know that. Down by the highway.
It's only public for residences.
Right, it's still a private road owned by the ranch, so like sheriffs aren't out here patrolling it and shit like that.
Please pass the plate, it only gets better. Tricks that are a step ahead of rich that are just trying to rule. They can have
just pick shit that needs very little water.
Right, but with the Water Rights Act that passed in 1987, we have to go in front of the water commissioner for Southern Colorado and be like, hey, we bought this ghost town.
to stop the shoots and open up the draw line. Let the policy fold, leaving us to divide.
They used water out of Raton Creek. We want to set up a pump out of Raton Creek, and they'll have to go through all the historical documents and be like, well, they used it for this, this, and this, and you can only use it for these things at this much gallons per minute. Or they'll tell us to go fuck ourselves. Because if they catch us taking water out of there, we will go to prison forever.
If you're lucky, you'll go to prison.
It's bad. Water rights in Colorado are
That's
dead.
fucking
Normally
stupid.
people just
you don't drop a hose and pump it up without, having watchouts everywhere.
But the fact of the matter is that we're under assault from face to face. And
I'm pretty convinced we got a fucking well.
There were no wells. They were pumping it all out of the river in their cisterns. They had a pump house on the river. We can't dig a well within 500 yards of the river. We can't do shit.
We can reclaim existing land.
We can, but we would still have to get a water rights lawyer that could prove it was used for agricultural and commercial.
Wouldn't we just dig the well? The president told us to fucking do it.
That's fine.
Said, go do it.
That's fine. I'm saying that when the water commissioner or whoever comes in and is like, well, where are you guys getting your water from? And we're like, oh, we dug this well. He is going to throw a shit fit because of water rights.
You got a permit to do the well? Done.
Because Colorado in 1960, Colorado sold 70% of
Are you
its
telling me that I can't dig a fucking well?
without permission from...
That's called a permit. That's what the permission is.
That's what I just fucking said, is we have to call the water commissioner. Before we do anything, we have got to get the water commissioner to approve it.
Why don't we just distill our own piss?
For gray water, sure, I guess.
Real talk though, just because of the amount of money that we spent on groceries for the past week, and filled it up probably 3 times.
I think it's going that way.
That wouldn't have fed us, but yeah, no, I get it.
You get it though? It's that easy to get water.
Right.
It's that fucking simple. It's not fucking cheap. There's no sense in going through rigmarole of nonsense.
The power behind that river.
Everywhere else in this fucking valley has shit water. Water up here is necessarily drinkable. Or
we can find out though.
You could probably maybe put it on fucking plants.
Well, you can always boil water.
Some of it you can't, though. It'll just turn red and won't boil.
Yeah, that's true, too. Some of it on like iron sulfates. And
yeah, there's other shit that you can
just collect on top and get the steam off of that.
Hello, I'm Ryan with Vis.Red, and we've been talking about the Morley Vineyard project.
Morley, I've been mentioning this a few times on the show over the last few weeks. South of Trinidad, the new property that's been acquired to make into the multiple project land down there. We're going to talk about that and everything that it entails. People might remember you from last October, I believe. We did the interview, right, at the shop?
Cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin podcast.
Yeah, I forget the exact month, but that was probably where people heard about you for the first time, and then little bits and pieces of me talking about little by little the activities and what's been going on and trying to interject segments of the coined Crypto Cannabis podcast segment that I've been doing here and there. So people have an idea what the cryptocurrency is. They have an idea what the relationship is to cannabis. So we're going to get in deep about the big project of what you're involved in and what's going on, the potential of what it could be, and how other people can get involved. Because like most projects, more people the merrier, right? The easier things get. So what's the current status of Vis.Red? Are you still running the shop over on Airport Road?
Yeah, in a slightly more, condensed sense. We are open on Saturdays from about 4 to usually 2-3 hours. So that's to host our Bitcoin and Decred meetings. And then we're also operating down south of Trinidad out of Morley, in the sense of that's our new project land, so it's not really open to the public yet, but we will be having events there over the next few months to really introduce people to the ideas of the things that are going to be happening.
And what is the overall plan, I guess, if we had to wrap it up in one bullet point of what Morley will be? Maybe not tomorrow, but eventually what is the grand scheme of things? What is the idea? Surely a question you've been asked before.
No one has actually asked me to sum it up because each individual project that we're doing down there is worth expanding.
Well, let's start with this. Let's start with just a bullet point short list of what some of those projects are, the big ones.
The top 3 projects, we're going to be doing the grape vineyard, which will reclaim the hazardous slag pile or spoil tip.
So a grape vineyard for the intention of growing grapes for wine, for consumption? Or
Yeah, it'll be, we'll be using Chardonnay grapes. It's a French variety. It should do very well in this climate, in that particular soil.
Okay, so that's project number 1. Project number 2.
Project number 2, we're going to be setting up a solar field and a plasma transformer station that will be able to supply our own power to our own miners, our own Bitcoin research, their cryptocurrency research facility, and many of the other buildings on the property as well.
Project number 3.
That's a secret project.
A secret project.
That's a secret project.
Secret in the sense of just something that's undeveloped.
Well, we've got to be able to get into these mines for a few of our quote unquote secret projects.
Mines on the property.
Oh yeah,
because it's a former mining town.
Abandoned coal mines. It's.
All right, so what is Morley? Morley is what? Well, it's a former mining town.
Yeah, Morley is a former mining town. Belonged to Colorado Fuel and Iron. It existed between 1874. 1876 and 1957
by a Rockefeller,
CF&I, yeah,
the corporation,
whoever's going to own that at the time, yeah.
And how long ago did it cease to be a town or a community?
In 1959, Colorado Fuel and Iron demolished much of the town, and again in 78, I want to say they came back and they cleaned it up the rest of the way and got rid of the property. Got rid of the rest of the way being they demolished every building down to foundations except for the church. It's St. Aloysius Catholic Church.
So the mines were covered up.
Yeah, mines are covered up.
Okay, and now you're taking a pickaxe and you're drilling as hard and furiously as you can into the side of the mountain with a candle in hand and a handkerchief over your mouth, seeing what comes out of the mines.
A wet handkerchief.
Right, because that's what protects the lungs.
Well, it gets dust particulates.
What do you anticipate happening? That the mines are just going to be vacant and then you'll be able to use them as space?
That is, of course, one use. So we've got 11 million pounds of coal that have been excavated from underneath our property, and that opens up a lot of real estate for bricked out tunnels. We can use it as for anything. One thing that has been thrown around is storage for the wine.
Now, you also mentioned mentioned possibly hops growing. Is that still a possibility with the grapes, or is that something different?
We've got a land tie to an adjoining property. Beautiful field, good access to year-round water. We're looking at doing a hops field over there to support Colorado local breweries.
A lot going on. Small area of Trinidad seems to be a big booming area for not just cannabis, but I think tourism also. The area seems to be a tourist-driven area. As I've gone through there, a lot of motels, hotels, and tourist-type activities. This could be a good investment, or it could be a money pit, right?
Yeah. I'll add one thing I was going to say about the mines. We're working with a historian from the Colorado Fuel and Iron Museum in Pueblo, and he's been helping us locate some of the treasures that might be buried underground, which as soon as we have access to the mine, we're talking
type of treasures.
Millions of dollars worth of treasures. There's what was at one time a fully functional substation down there with 4 giant steam-powered generators, the untold amounts of mine carts and other tools, medical stations all throughout it, and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of tunnels. I think God only knows what's in there.
I'm envisioning a event, we'll call it Goonies, right? Where we invite people to come treasure hunt, go seek the treasure. All they have to do is explore the tunnels.
I thought you were going to say all they have to do is sign the waivers.
Well, that would come first, obviously. But we're going to need lots of manpower to explore these miles and miles of tunnels. So we have to build up the treasure, the One-Eyed Willie treasure story, so we can get people flooding in, willing to take their wet handkerchief and candle and burn their way through the tunnel.
But here's the story, and we didn't have any hand in starting it. If you go online and do some research, you'll hear stories about a methane explosion that caused the collapse and inevitable death of over 300 miners.
I saw the sign that was posted about a mile or so up the road that was a memorial to a massacre.
The Ludlow Massacre, this is very separate from that. That was unfair working conditions led to unionization of coal miners in the area and things like that. This was a reported explosion that killed 300 people in our mine, and we haven't heard any reports of it happening. The Colorado Fuel and Iron Company says that it definitely did not happen, but if you go online, there's plenty of stories out there, dozens of websites reporting that we had this explosion.
So you could explode at any time down there.
The internet knows better than us, always. Right?
You could invite hundreds of people down in a mass explosion called the Vis.Red Massacre.
The Vis.Red Massacre.
And there'll be a sign in your name.
Oh, yeah, that's free advertising. Longevity.
Well, this is kind of a big project. How did this come about, such a grand scheme of a project? Did you wake up one morning and say, I think I'll buy me a plot of land and try to run multiple businesses at the same time?
Vis.Red's eventual goal as a group of people that are willing to fight for a common purpose is to have a self-sustaining facility separate from any global organization that really just uploads all of our research and anything that we can produce open source and really for the humans for humans sort of mindset. We thought, okay, so that's kind of like a country. Our first step to a country, let's start with a town. So we're doing that.
How long has this been in development?
The Morley project in particular, or Vis.Red?
That concept of what you just described.
I imagine now it's been really being worked on for at least 2 or 3 years.
Where are you from?
Like, born in?
Yeah, you from East LA or are you from Mexico? What?
Florida.
You're from Florida. So this idea, where was it concepted? How long have you been here in Colorado?
I've been in Colorado since 2001.
Oh, okay. So quite a number of years. So you came from Florida, you came to Colorado.
Oh, my parents were in the military. I moved every 2 years.
Oh, so you're
I've lived in
brat.
half of the United States.
What branch of military?
Navy. Both of them.
Who? Mom, dad, both?
Both.
Both in the Navy?
Yeah.
Did they meet on a boat?
No, they
Was
met
there a
at
violation of fraternization?
No, they met at boot camp. They were both in some extended study program for their jobs.
There's a co-ed boot camp?
I imagine.
I think at the time when you're being most humiliated, you would not want to be around the opposite sex. That would be the least point of attraction when you're being humiliated and broken down.
Well, you can have separate dorms,
or it might motivate you to be a better soldier, maybe. I don't know. Interesting. What were they? What was their profession? Their moss?
Yeah, that would be an interesting topic to discuss if I knew anything about it.
You don't know?
No, I'm not supposed to.
You're not supposed to know?
No.
Was it intelligence?
It was Navy intelligence.
Was your dad just a chef?
Nah, man. Not like that. Chefs don't get out and do contractor work for satellites that I'm still not allowed to know anything about.
It was a communications.
Yeah, it's still communications, yeah.
Okay. So that probably spawned your initial interest in electronics and computers.
And my childhood knowledge of cryptography.
Ah,
yes.
Cryptography. Yeah. That's the root of what you're all about.
And cryptography and forensics is my professional training.
In the sense of building security codes, what type of application?
General IT security and forensics. I'm better at knocking systems down or going around them and then making patches to fix those sorts of things and selling it to people that need them.
Would you call yourself a hacker?
No.
No.
Other people would.
But you would not call yourself one?
No, I'm an entrepreneur.
Ah, an entrepreneur. Well, I guess that is technically true. I mean, you are involved in multiple projects.
Are you only an entrepreneur until you pick something?
No, I think you're an
vine master. Or
no, I think you're an entrepreneur if you take a risk that is in an attempt to do something on a path that's off the main path. So if you're taking a job at a corporation as the IT guy, you would not be an entrepreneur because you're on the standard path of what there is. Taking the risk would be starting your own company or doing something off that path. So that risk element is what makes you an entrepreneur. And the risk usually means it's because you've done something on your own or attempted to start your own something. That's usually where the risk comes in, which you have done, right?
Yeah, not my first tech shop.
Not your first tech shop. That should be the name of the business.
We're leaning more towards Vis.Red and Company.
What is the significance?
I'm not fluent in Latin, but from my understanding, Viz is 30 possible meanings or some crap like that.
Well, allow me to translate as I am fluent in Latin.
Right. Most of which are like
the
force
Viz
progression.
comes from the ocular word of to see. And
that could be.
And the red from the color of red.
Well, red is...
you see red.
I mean, we got 3-letter domain name. .red is, instead of .com, it's...
And that's significant.
3-letter domain names for .com sold out in the 90s, didn't they?
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know. In the 90s, I was smoking weed and at the back of a McDonald's parking lot. I
don't think that nice McDonald's. I don't think that
I was
less
a teenager
than 3
working fast food. I was not involved in any form of entrepreneurial activities.
I was figuring out how to accidentally make cars get out of park and roll down driveways and shit.
I mean, it's a cool name, right? Viz.Red.
Viz.Red, yeah. I've got it tattooed on my neck.
Ooh. Yeah. Like a prison style on your neck?
Yeah. We own the domain for like the next 25 years. Why not?
How did you do that? Just pre-purchase 25 years?
And then escrow a dynasty with another company. They take over buying it because most companies don't let you buy 100 years of a domain at a time like that. It doesn't, it can't guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how exactly the domain system works, other than I have a bunch of them. But other than that, I don't really know the fine details. But you can fascinate me later with that conversation.
Global autonomous organizations.
We'll spend long hours into the night talking about how domain systems work. So going back to the cryptology, cryptocurrency, energy generation.
Right, Project 2.
Project 2, is that the code name?
Well, after this radio
Did you just reveal the code name accidentally?
I think that's the code name. Don't ask about Project 7. As far as the solar and Bitcoin goes, basically we're going to be taking sunlight and then using these SHA-256, miners or hardware, computer hardware that works at one algorithm. We're going to generate money from sunlight.
You're going to start mining Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And you're going to start doing it from this rural, remote location down south of Trinidad.
Completely off the grid.
And you have to figure out an internet connection. You got to figure out power to run all these machines. You got to figure out a living situation of how to actually manage and maintain this. And then you got to figure out how to actually squeeze a penny from it so it can be paid for, and hopefully you don't all starve to death down there.
Right. Right. Soup-based diets.
Right. Water. Chicken bouillon cubes.
No, that shit's too expensive.
30 cents.
Pick up some mice out there and...
Well, hunting, right? There's large elk. I've seen the droppings, and there appears to be bear that we've seen in person, or at least some have.
Yeah.
And there's small rodents and
turkeys.
Turkeys. That morning I went out for a walk. There was a whole flock. I don't know what you call turkeys. A gaggle. There was a gaggle of turkeys out there, and I tracked them for a few minutes, and then realized that now what? I better keep walking. If I had a shotgun, I still probably wouldn't have done anything because
it's a shotgun and a small bird. You don't want to hunt a small bird with a shotgun?
Well, I think that's how you hunt turkeys, is with shotguns.
What?
How else would you hunt them?
An arrow or something that only leaves one puncture hole and such a small chunk of
you
meat?
Well, you would use like a slug probably. But I'm pretty sure when you're doing turkeys, it was a shotgun. I don't think you would use a rifle.
Really?
And you wouldn't use a handgun.
Why would you use a shotgun on anything you were going to eat?
Like birds, because it's easy to shoot things out of the air when you're pattering your.
You sure you're not trying to give me lead poisoning right now?
I don't think they make them out of lead anymore. I think those days are over. I think now it's all like stainless steel and
all my knowledge of bullets is so outdated. I would build a tower and like liquefy lead with heat and then drop it from the tower, and then gravity would make it into a sphere and it would drop into a bucket, and bam, I'd have a musket shell. Yeah, what do they call that?
A ball?
A musket ball, sure, whatever.
Round thing?
Yeah, round thing. A musket ball.
Square thing box?
Yeah, that's how I know how to make bullets. It doesn't include any modern.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well just throw the metal ball at the turkey and try and knock it out. Use a slingshot at that point.
We got slingshots.
I have one too. It's not hanging here, but hunting, living, surviving, doing the projects. I mean, this is exciting and I guess scary things also, right? I mean, what is the risk of failure here?
I mean, we own the land outright.
Okay.
And
but you can't stay on it, as you were informing me today that you're limited on the living, or there's going to be bureaucratic paperwork involved to live there.
We're going to have to figure out a new plan.
Mm-hmm.
It is doable, and we are allowed 2 residences on the property.
So here's my idea. Let's build a fiber optic blanket that we just hang along the edge of the road to make everything invisible. So when people drive down that road, it will just always appear to be empty. And then behind the blankets, we'll just party it up, back-to-back structures, non-foundation coated, non-regulated foundations. No, there's a lot going on. And all of this, I assume, is the result of trying to push forward or maintain the main revenue stream based on the Bitcoin interaction.
The Bitcoin is only going to be one part of the revenue stream. We're also going to be doing an Airbnb situation so that people can come and explore the ghost town at their leisure. And we're also going to be doing a pot growing operation down there. And we're also
say cannabis.
Okay.
You say pot growing, you're going to scare the grandma and grandpa who just want their old town to be good old folks, right?
Grandma and grandpa? All right.
Because pot is what they don't want, those long-haired hippies.
Hemp.
I mean, you're going to scare off all the town folk, all the good country town folk.
All right, so let's just admit that. We get the vineyard. Oh, Teddy is going to be doing...
Teddy, another individual who's part of your group?
Yes, Teddy is a Vis.Red volunteer.
How many people would you say are part of your group, your volunteers?
8 to 12.
8 to 12. So what is this entirety going to cost?
Oh, as much effort as we can put into it. I mean, besides effort.
Right. We'll go to lunch after this on effort. You pay.
But I mean, if you're looking to buy your own town, you can do so on a budget of under $100,000. And if you're looking to start your own solar farm, you can generally do a household if you're willing to install it by yourself, find the distributor, and do all the transportation and everything.
Are you just going to buy a wholesale panel, just a stack of panels?
That's what we've been doing. Yeah. So if you're willing to do that, you can get a real good system for around $10,000. That's more than enough to do your house, you know.
So that would be good for one house.
I mean, a really big house, like 10-bedroom, 5-bath house.
Okay. So the unit of solar you're going to put in there will support what type of energy pool? 2 residences?
By the time we're done, we plan on selling power back to the grid that is unused, get profit back in the form of credits that you redeem during tax time.
Okay.
So we will be producing enough power to sell back onto the grid, more than we're using.
Okay. And this is going to be done just through solar. You've investigated all the different avenues of power generation, and solar appears to be the most efficient.
Well, all the panels I'm buying are 25-year warranty panels. With the way us doing all of the work and having the direct access to the panels, I think it's only going to cost us about $7,000. Sorry, what was the question?
Solar panels.
Oh, 2 houses, right.
So what does it need to supply?
Okay.
Was that the question?
Yeah, it needs to supply these mining hardware configurations. So it's big even on a normal house's grid. Most of them use more than 30 amps, which is the standard, I would imagine, for residential electricity. So So what we're doing out there is we're taking the solar, and then from that usage, we're actually using a plasma transformer, which is just a transformer. It steps electricity up from...
And amps it.
Amps it up. Good choice of words. So what we're going to be doing is much more industrial size scale of that audio amplifier. But it's going to basically take electrons out of the air and using a process that ionizes gas, we're going to step up all of the power to way more than what we need.
So you're going to take the solar, which will generate a base of power, and then you're going to amplify it through
a transformer station,
which you're going to invent and build.
We've already invented it.
That you're going to build at an industrial size, and it's going to create enough juice to support all the possible energy you could need.
Yes.
How safe is this?
The plasma generator itself, we have two options.
Now, when you say plasma generator...
plasma transformer. We have two options. We can either go with one that is being produced by a company possibly in China that is meant for scientific or industrial purposes. It does exactly what I've described. Or we can do it our way, which is not as safe, but has many more potential purposes.
So the not so safe still is an option on the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's not lethal or possibly... I don't think it could damage you. It's just gamma radiation.
Okay. Well, there you go. Just radiation.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well,
okay.
Gamma radiation is super low average radiation, I think.
Could I become the Hulk?
Well, I don't think so.
No?
Possibly cancer.
Oh, okay. So no upside to the radiation exposure.
Well, there is some upside to being in an electrostatic magnetic field, some of which have been theorized, such as cellular regeneration. You got to take the good with the bad.
I won't ask what that means because I have a feeling that we'll go off into an hour-long, whole different conversation. But if you prove that to be right, let me know and I'll come on down.
If I prove that to be right, I don't think you're going to find me, except for on the internet.
I also heard fasting for a few days can reset your autoimmune system and your cell regeneration also. That every now and then starving your body, putting your body through a fast, kind of like a reset on your body also. If you're suffering from continuous sickness or something that you can't quite get over, starve yourself for a few days. And then...
With as hard as I work, I would just die. That's called exhaustion.
Well, you have some physical ailments, yeah? You have you're a medical patient. Do you want to disclose what...
I'm a medical patient with an extended plant count, whoop whoop, for an enlarged heart. The CBD, in fact, has been a major component in fixing all of my daily pain.
Now, enlarged, like the Grinch who stole Christmas, it grew 3 times too big,
that is a bittersweet statement.
It makes you generous, and you feel more loving. What do you mean an enlarged heart? Like what's going on? What's the biology?
It's probably from stress or terrible childhood memories that are repressed. I don't know. But possibly
crypto.
Right. All the stress of intense study, tiger mom status. No. So basically my heart will just continue to grow until it's so big it's not going to collapse under the weight of the blood.
So most hearts reach a certain age or point where they kind of reach their maximum growth, and that's their adult size heart. Obviously, from baby to whatever that point, there's a regulation there. Your body has lost the ability to regulate the growth, and it just keeps growing?
Well, it has slowed its growth rate to almost nothing lately, the last couple months.
How do you measure that?
Well, I go to the doctor.
And how do they measure it?
They do all sorts of tests that involve sticky things and wires.
Pull out a tape measure and just put it up to your chest and be like, with the x-ray there?
Yeah, well, they kind of like the Grinch, they pull the screen in front of it, and you can just see my heart, and it's dong, da dong, da dong, dong.
So what does this cause? Excess blood pumping or lack of blood because it's more heart than blood, or what is the side effect?
I don't think there's too much of a side effect, except for that I'm so small. I weigh like 100 pounds most of the time. And so the bigger that thing gets, I feel every little thing that it does. That's the only real effect, besides when I'm out of weed. Then I am under so much pain, I'm worthless.
So it's a pain-causing symptom.
Yeah, it's kind of like someone's just squeezing your chest like this with knives or other pointy objects.
So cannabis helps alleviate that?
Yeah, no pain as long as I'm maintaining maintain a more and more intake of CBD.
And what is the ultimate treatment for such a...
There isn't one right now.
Is it a disease? I don't know what would it be classified as? Is it a disability? Is it just a sickness? I mean, what? Is it a condition?
I suppose it's a viable condition. The state gave me a card for it. But,
a card that says you have a condition?
No. They gave me a medical marijuana card. Same thing, I guess.
You're right. It says you got something. Well, that sucks. So what's the plan? Just to not worry about it and just keep medically checking on it and then just go about your life?
Oh, the plan is to kick life's ass. I mean, come on. 25. Just turned 25. Cinco de Mayo. And we own a town. Our company is great. We're doing all sorts of crazy shit. We're saving the world.
Yeah, you're definitely got a lot going on for a younger age. Have you always been like this?
Yes.
Yeah. Is this as a result of military parents, or is this just kind of how you were born?
This is a result of, how do you say, being out on your own since you were 14 without incriminating your
like a latchkey child, just kind of left on your own and just be by yourself and just kind of do your own thing?
Yeah, so 14 was a fun year. And
which is only 9 years ago for you.
Right.
Which is not, I guess, not that long ago in the scheme of things.
But then I started my first business at 16.
There you go.
Bizarre business solutions in Florida.
Electronic?
It was more publicity and, there was a lot of electronic attributes like websites, being able to promote online. Most people down in that area at the time weren't doing anything. It was more just like how to get your business more business through any way we could think of to, whatever budget you had. And it was a real publicity company, really.
Yeah. How did you go from kind of being in Florida with your parents and doing that to,
I wasn't with my parents, no. I was on my own by that point.
So you left home pretty young?
Yeah, and I went to Montana.
How did you leave so young?
I thought this was the part I asked. How do you not incriminate the parents?
In what sense? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that because you didn't say it on the microphone. I didn't.
You can't incriminate people like that.
Like that?
What?
Like your parents?
What?
Incriminate them?
What?
Well, what's your social security number and your home address?
Yeah,
and,
let me get that to you right now.
What's their first and last name and where do they live? The byproduct of all of those years of everything is where you are now, right? From everything to the organization you're running to the group of people you've accumulated over the years.
Yeah, one of them has run with me since 2008.
Who's that?
Victor.
Okay. So he was the first person who started in your...
Man, we were just friends back then. Yeah. Actually, Trevor was the first Vis.Red volunteer. And then Victor joined our crew after learning about what we were doing.
And where did you all meet?
Oh, all over Colorado, Montana, Missouri. We've brought crew on from a lot of different places.
So just kind of traveling around,
meeting
people here and there.
At one point, we all just got in a vehicle and drove across the country with no particular destination in mind for a few months. It was a great experience. Call it a spiritual journey, if you will.
Band of gypsies.
It was very gypsy, yeah.
Which probably helps contribute to the ultimate idea of kind of what you're envisioning, right? The ultimate place on your own country, your own island, whatever it be, your own planet.
There's some scientific avenues you just can't go down under the watchful eye of anyone. So you've really got to separate yourself in order to perform some function.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, there's a lot to consider here, and this is one of the things that I think people just, you're taking a big risk, which is a little bit more than what most people are. You ask, what is an entrepreneur? What you're doing is 90% more than what most people are willing to do.
You mean work?
Well, not work, because people go to work every day, right?
No, to put in the work for themselves, not for somebody else.
Well, that's the risk part.
You got a dream, go for it.
But that's the risk part, right?
It's
like
not too risky.
There's people that will kill themselves 80 hours a week at a corporate office job for somebody else. Right. It's not that they won't work hard. It's that they won't take the risk on themselves.
They're not working that job for someone else. They're still working it for themselves for the paycheck, which is another thing that separates our crew. We're not working for a paycheck. We're working to better humankind and the place we live.
So with that being said, then what is the baseline of support for everything? How are things supported? Do you work a job? I mean,
when there is a dry spell, we'll pitch in, do whatever's required. Whether it's go out and get a job or come up with a better idea for a new project or revisit an older project. Really, it's just a matter of if a project requires funding, we go down the list and see where it needs to come from.
Do you make any money from the Bitcoin?
We do.
Do you see Bitcoin and cannabis as being a successful part of the industry, of something that...
Yeah. In fact, if we can turn sunlight into money, then the idea is that through Bitcoin avenues, which is a financial competitive industry, we can have that money grow in an investment account similar to a savings account or an investment account, really. Mm-hmm. Those securities
compound.
They would pay for people to have medication like what I need, where it continuously costs more and more money because your tolerance is going higher and higher, and if you don't meet that requirement, then you feel the pain and you can't operate.
Now, I don't want to have a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency conversation. We've done that before, right. And I've had multiple segments from side recordings that we've done over the months. But let me just have one question so we can hit the topic. Answer this question for everybody that's listening, just so you can establish your expertise on the subject. So somebody says Bitcoin or any other coin out there. If I'm going to consider getting involved in cryptocurrency, which one should I buy, and why is it beneficial or hurting cryptocurrency to even consider other types of coins that exist? Let's just focus on that one question and answer that today, and then we'll get off cryptocurrency.
All right, that's a bit of an in-depth one question, but we can split it up here.
You got 45 seconds.
All right. If you want to get into trading, like similar to Forex, go with Ethereum. It's highly volatile. The price fluctuates up $10 a day some days, and you can really make a mint. And if you're interested in learning more about the technology behind it, learning to build your own currency, something like that, I'd be looking into things like Decred. And then if you're looking for something that has the potential to be $27 million a coin, go with Bitcoin. That's really the original flavor, if you will.
So anything that's outside of those, is that what's referred to as an altcoin, something that's outside of that?
Anything other than Bitcoin is an altcoin.
And is alt stand for like alternative?
Alternative to Bitcoin.
Okay. So if somebody is coming to you with an email, or me or anybody else, with anything other than Bitcoin, the simple answer is the reason you should just stick with Bitcoin is because
it's maintained its value since 2009, globally recognized, it's not a scam.
Potentially stability, security.
Most widely accepted.
Credibility.
Credibility, for sure.
Right. And I think that's important because there's been a lot of quote-unquote altcoins popping up around the cannabis industry that I think people are confused of, hey, if Bitcoin's successful, then why wouldn't XYZ coin be successful?
Potcoin. Both of those.
I don't want to say names.
XYZ coin is a name. You just didn't know you said a name.
Well, there.
Yeah.
It's subliminal.
Yeah.
That's how I work on the show. Right. I'm also part of the crypto communication community.
Well, I mean, just assume that there's like 50,000 altcoins and all the three-letter ones are probably taken.
Yeah. Well, there you go. If you want to learn any more about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you can join us on Saturday afternoons, as stated, at the Aurora Cryptocurrency Center.
4 p.m.
Be there on time because all the fun starts exactly at 4:01 p.m.
Usually it does. It really does.
You come in late, you're just losing out on fun. That's all it is. And that can be found at 323 Airport Boulevard, Aurora, Colorado. Saturday afternoons. And if you feel like taking a road trip, come down south of Trinidad, exit 6 through 2. Hang out. Bring a shovel. We need some land moved around, some rocks moved around.
Yeah, come dig. I'll put you to work.
If you got any skills, you know how to build stuff, you got any ideas about landscaping, ideas for bed and breakfast, ideas for growing, ideas for grape growing, vines, ideas for energy production and installation, skills, talents, ideas, people, right? The human resource.
Effort. If you're willing to put in some effort for if you believe in what we're doing or believe that in the future we could do something very positive for humans, then please, by all means, join us.
Very good. Ryan, I appreciate your time today. This is, like always, been informational and fun.
It's always a lesson.
Now let's go have a long conversation about dominium systems.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next time. That's all I got for you this week, entrepreneurs. Thank you for listening in, and thank you to everybody that's been supporting this community over the years. Keep following us after the show on all the social media. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Mass Roots. We're out there. You can find us just about anywhere, even YouTube. So make sure to come back next week and join us for another show where we'll be discussing more topics, interviewing more guests, and this is getting bigger because of you. We'll see you next week.
All you want percent